George Floyd's story has been the story of black folks because ever since 401 years ago, the reason we could never be who we wanted and dreamed to be in is you kept your knee on our neck. We were smarter than the underfunded schools you put us in, but you had your knee on our neck. We could run corporations and not hustle in the street, but you had your knee on our neck. We had creative skills. We could do whatever anybody else could do, but we couldn't get your knee off our neck. What happened to Floyd happens every day in this country, in education, in health services, and in every area of American life. It's time for us to stand up in George's name and say, get your knee off our necks.
Ciao. That was Reverend Al Sharpton delivering the eulogy at George Floyd's memorial on Thursday last week. And I was like, whoa. I mean, he went all the way up in there and he preached the heck out of that thing. Like he really.
And it was all facts.
All facts. So welcome to the Bold Black Girls podcast where I'm Aries.
And I am Kim.
Yeah, I just wanted to start that off because like I was at work when this was going on. I'm like muting. I was in a call. I had to take a call and right at the point where he got kind of here because I had it on like in the background. And I was like, let me turn my video off because I was getting teary.
So I had to actually I saw some of it, right? And then I had an actual team meeting. So thank God for technology. Not in the sense of also catching criminals creating crimes, but also so I can go back and listen to that.
Exactly.
But that was pretty much the headline across every news platform. You have your knees on our necks. And I've said that before we had even got here. Literally and figuratively, they've had our knees on our necks. And so we're going through a lot as a community. Right? Yeah. We have George Floyd, but we do not want to forget Breonna Taylor. Her birthday would have been June 5th, I want to say.
It was, June 5th.
She would have been 27 years old.
Yeah.
And still there haven't been no arrests made.
Nope. I think they were put on leave, or I don't even know if they were considered fired, but I from what I heard, they were still being paid. So clearly they haven't done that yet.
So that's disturbing, so we must amplify and say her name as well so that she's not forgotten. We care about George Floyd. We care about everyone else, but we also don't want to forget her.
Yeah.
So it was great to see all of the social media platforms and people posting and kind of sharing about her.
We put some stuff on our page about on her birthday, ways that people could take action to like you said, amplify, her story so that the officials feel that same pressure that we put on, for this George Floyd situation, which is basically dominoing into everybody now. It's like, Tamika Mowry said in her beautiful speech, that we need to charge all the cops, not just, this is just the ones we're about to, we are making this a big deal, and every cop for all the cases all over the place where they didn't get charged, we need to be trying to bring those cases back to, bring justice. Justice is the name of the game right now. It's all about.
It really is. It's justice and accountability, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we do the crime, we got to do the time. So what makes you any different? You're actually supposed to be a role model for the public. So
supposed to be
correct. So let's continue to hold everyone accountable, right? And that's my charge in 2020. I'm also going to hold you accountable for everything, right? You're going to get your knee off of my neck. So
look, I ain't got nothing. Look, I'm right. Look, last week I got all my stuff out, as everybody knows. I told Kim later, I was like, I'm sorry, girl, but I hadn't talked for a long time, but I need to get everything off my chest.
Right.
Now I'm just like, I'm like the people in the background of Val Sharp. Yes, preach.
And I said, I just wanted to go over there and give her a hug, you know. I think we're all dealing with it in different ways, right? You have some people who cry. I haven't
crying a lot.
And I haven't. I've been more enraged.
Yes, you have.
Anything in anger. So I think the way we all respond to different catastrophes or even just death, everyone responds differently.
Yeah.
I used to be a crier. I don't know what has changed, but instead I get enraged.
I flipped. So
I get mad.
I think I don't know if I told the story on this podcast, but like when I turned 15, I made a conscious decision that I was not crying no more. Because I'm very sensitive naturally. Like I don't know if I'm an empath.
Hard on the outside, soft on the inside.
Super sensitive. And so I was going through so much in my life that I'm like, these tears ain't doing a damn thing. Okay. People are not, this ain't changing your situation. Stuff sucks. Like, so just, you know what? Forget it. We drying these tears up. We not doing. So that's when my thugness kind of came into, like, it just built a wall, you know, and I feel like a lot of us have built walls to protect ourselves from the outside world, you know, and trying to numb that pain. And, probably over the last, when I started having kids, I started being like, where are these little emotions coming from? But as I'm raising my boys, I feel like my emotional, you know, it's coming back. I'm tapping back into it because now I'm looking at these children who need to see my authentic self. So I've had to tear a lot of those walls down you can't receive love properly if you're not able to, you know, be open. That's that vulnerability that we talk about all the time,
yes.
right? To where I can't get what I want from you or give you what you need from me if I have walls. And so a part of me doing that is really just allowing myself to feel, you know, and that's something that we probably all could use a moment to just be like, it's okay to feel, you know. I feel the tears I've had have been tears of joy and pain. Joy, seeing everybody in support, you know, people in Amsterdam and in the Netherlands, and I'm like, look at these people. That part to me really says that we're headed in the right direction. That I hope we continue the momentum on.
Absolutely. And so, in addition to Breonna Taylor, we learned this week that Ahmaud Arbery, they're going to advance that trial as far as charging the 3 persons responsible for his murder, especially the one who was videotaping, because I know that was up in question at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And last update they said is they heard him say the N-word after they shot and killed him.
Yeah, I think that he told basically on the other guys that he heard them say that. And then it was something with him. It's another piece with him too. So I know they're in the questioning, you know, they're trying to get all the, that's what it was. I think their name is McDonald.
Something. Yeah.
Anyway, one of the guys was saying he didn't know him before. He didn't know Ahmaud before this happened. He just saw him and immediately assumed he was a criminal, which criminal we know is a new synonym for, that's a new word for black. So criminal.
And they hunted him down. Like, yeah, that bothers me. That was an intentional hunt down just based on the color of his skin.
And it's like, what goes through your head in the morning?
Yeah, because in my head, I don't think of, oh, they're white, I'm going to go and hunt them down. If anything, I'm going to try and get away, right? I don't want to be in that presence. I'm not going to.
You don't want to be in that presence because of our history.
Correct.
It's not because that's not natural. That's kind of what we're kind of getting to now. It's like, it's not normal to treat people like that. That is not okay.
And there is no excuse for it. You know, people try to make up excuses.
What did he do? Not nothing to be strangled in front of the world. Not nothing to be shot down in front of people. You know, I mean, while he's on the jog, not, you know, none of it equates. There's rare cases where somebody deserved to just be shot down in the middle of the street. Like, I don't even like what people would say would be a case for that. And the only time you usually have seen the police do something like that is like in a case where somebody has hostages and they're shooting back at the police from, you know,
Correct.
something like that. But never would you hear anybody say it's okay to just shoot somebody while they're out.
Right. And let's be honest. I mean, I don't know about you, but I have anxiety when I see the police. I saw them this morning on my way to the grocery store. You know, I'm grateful that I'm able to be in a community where I can jog, and I hope and pray that I'm safe. But I can't help but I'm paranoid when I walk and run, even as a Black woman, because someone might have a vengeance out. You never know what people are thinking.
I'm not gonna lie. After we did the 2.23 mile walk for a mile, run for a mile thing, I have not walked.
Wow.
I have, and I know it's a conscious anxiety that I've been having of like, don't really want to like. It's been a struggle, and it's I was like, no, you're gonna go out and walk. Like I'm trying to make myself do it now because I'm like, that's not okay. Like you can't be paralyzed.
Let me know. We can meet up if you want, and we can do it together. Because I have done the opposite. I'm like, you know what? Let me get out here. I deserve to run, right, or walk, whatever I want to do, and be safe without any hurt, harm, or danger coming to me for any reason.
I agree.
I can't be held responsible for your hate that you have for me. You need to go to God with that. So that's a mod. And I'm going to continue to walk and run, and I will fight as much as I can.
Amen.
So, so next up, with all of this has been transpired about George, Breonna, Ahmaud, we've had, like you said, several protests around the world. There have been peaceful protests. There have been some looting and rioting. And, you know, we all have our opinions on the looting and rioting, but I just feel like, in my opinion, that we have done peaceful protesting years, countless times, and nothing changed. And so I feel like,
hold on, let's
tell me.
There has been change.
The
peaceful protests do create change. This created change. Yes. Okay. Yes. But it is, everything has its part, I think, where we have to follow up. That's where, we got to go there. I was listening to something, they were talking about how when Martin Luther King was assassinated, how they rioted in the streets for 6 days straight. That led to the Civil Rights Act, so there is, and that's why I don't even say peaceful protest, because it needs to be a call. That sometimes that's the only way that you're going to get stuff done.
Sometimes and honestly, that's the only way. See me,
huh?
Sometimes that's the only way you can hear and see that the change needs to occur.
But think about it. That's how our country did everything. We've done everything that way. So it's always convenient when it's them doing it. When it's us doing it, that's uncivilized. That's who does that? Who does looting and all that? Y'all.
We learn from you.
Exactly. So it's like that. It's just something. It's a narrative that I feel like people have created that does not. That's a falsehood that we got to even shed ourselves. Because I know I used to be the same way. I would say the same stuff and be like, why are you doing that? Why are you right? Well, because you got to, I've heard some really good explanations as well. I even posted on our page, this lady was talking about how, about the riots and the looting and all that stuff. And really we need to be asking ourselves questions about the looting and stuff too, about why do people feel like they need to loot?
I agree.
Most people are looting because they need the money. They need to go sell that, go get some. So we need to be questioning some other things about.
Let's understand the why behind it, right? They don't have the resources. So what are they going to do? They're going to go get the resources because they've been marginalized.
And the police are putting the bricks right there by the building for them to do the tearing up step. So it's a whole bunch to it. Like they've been showing all over the place where police have been the ones putting the bricks over there. So it's so much to it. It's never exactly what we see because the media controls the narrative that we're able to see. But I'm glad people have been having their phones out and they've been documenting what's really happening so that we can educate ourselves. Because I do think that we need to make sure we're not just believing every little thing that is said, you know, about what's going on. So sorry to cut you off, but that was my 2 cents.
Nope. I'm glad you did that. All right, so those were I would say our can't breathe updates, and you know the list is just growing.
It is.
It is growing. I mean, someone posted on social media they had this shirt, and they're like, "I need another shirt because it has to update with
the name.
Several names." That's sad. That is sad that you need to get another shirt because you need to update the names. Like, how many more names are we going to add?
I pray.
So moving
that we don't.
Yeah, I do too. So moving along, with all of this, I can't breathe and kind of bringing the social injustice awareness to the forefront. I've seen a lot of corporate companies step up, speak up, and I don't know if this is part of actual corporate and social responsibility or their diversity, equity, and equality initiatives. I'm looking at, yes, they're speaking up, but I'm also looking at, do you have our backs? Like when this subsides 2-3 months from now, years from now, will you have taken the action and will you continue on to support those causes? Because it's great to post and say you stand with your employees, but do you truly? Do you really?
Right. Because you can, I mean, and I've been seeing, it's interesting because I'll see some people like, thank you for your statement, but let me see that executive board or let me see these things. And I have a couple of views on that because it's like, well, we're all getting woke right now, right?
Yes.
Like, and it was not something that we even talked about. So I think we need to give some time to see what they're going to actually do behind the statements because we want them to say something. If you don't say nothing, then you ain't about it,
dismissed.
Right?
You're dismissed.
Right. Or if they say something, they like, well, let me see who all you got. Well, of course, they probably don't have the stuff. They probably don't have the, you know, the people in place and all that. But if they're willing to start the process of let's look at all this stuff and do something different, I'm supportive of that. Like
I am too.
Like,
and absolutely. I'm not either, but I am watching you, right?
So my eyes are wide open.
I'm woke, and just like you watch me when I come in every day to work, making sure I'm there on time, I'm at my seat or at my desk, it has to also be the reverse. Like I'm watching you. And the other part that I saw, and I think I shared with you, and I even shared it with you, I said, I want to see if the school districts are speaking up because my problem is that officer was once a student somewhere. And so the behavior didn't necessarily just start. How are we going to make sure in the school system that we are promoting social justice for our students who are Black?
Just like we need to dismantle the police, we need to dismantle the schools because we're not even learning the real history.
Correct.
They're teaching history, but it's why ours got to be in February.
And only in February.
And it's like, no, Black history is a part of this history that y'all teaching. All this stuff has an underline. Let's talk about it all. Let's talk about every piece of it if we're going to do that. But yeah, they need to revamp the whole school system in order to really do that. And I will be writing a letter to the school board and superintendent on this. I just been getting my mind right about everything because I'm like, I'm expecting it's too many. The schools themselves are diverse here. The teachers are not. The administration is not. None of it is. So y'all not getting nobody is voicing a diverse opinion about what's going on in leadership in the schools. So we need to make sure that we are holding everybody accountable.
Everyone accountable. And like I said, it doesn't just start in corporate America.
Yes.
I mean, my daughter has faced racism and that has stuck with her forever. And I think about this and I shared this with someone. That's mental trauma. That is going to forever be with her. right?
Yep.
So when she sees someone, she's thinking, oh, they might react to me that way, right? Just because of that experience. And I was telling another friend, it's just like when they have they get a concussion playing football, right? Kids are playing football. You have to go and see a doctor. You have to go get monitored to make sure that one, is safe for you to start doing your work, that you can start going back to school, and that you can resume those activities. That same type of trauma is the same trauma that we're going through. So when someone at school calls you a nigger, then what type of resources and support do you have for me? Because now I'm traumatized.
And if you have a concussion, you're going to be hesitant when you get back out there on the field again. You're going to be like, I might not be playing at my full potential, because now I know the fear of what can happen when I, am doing that. So that's a good point. I like that example, because that's definitely.
So we need to have resources out there available for when they experience something like that, that they can tap into that. Because guess what? That service is provided by the school district. So why wouldn't a service such as trauma like that, why wouldn't we have resources for that?
The people teaching them don't know how to handle, they don't have it. They don't know. They have not practiced anti-racism themselves. So everybody needs it. The teachers need a full, before y'all come back,
it needs to be a curriculum for them.
Y'all better go through all them trainings y'all be taking off days. I love my teachers too, because I'm telling you, I that ain't my
especially
ministry.
now.
That's my ministry. I always, all my kids' teachers know, like we be like this, and I support them. I'm communicating with them on a regular basis about all kind of stuff, in ways I can help them with the boys, the ways, we can work together to make sure we're both happy. I do that with every teacher every year. So they need to be going through this as well, because they're dealing with our children. And if you don't know how to teach my children, or you don't recognize the bias that you have because of how you were raised and how you were taught, and you talking to him like he dumb or something, or whatever, or treating him like, oh, he's just going to be prone to bad, having bad,
bad behavior and
behavior, whatever.
Yep.
Then you're doing the same stuff, So I will say this though, my job, I talked to the CEO and our chief HR person last week.
Awesome.
It was a great conversation. It was so good. They were just awesome. I just love that. First of all, that will be a company that you look and see. You see a bunch of white dudes on the website. And they made it where I could be honest in the because I told them, I said, look, I was hesitant to speak up because, I've been retaliated against for using my mouth at work.
Right.
I'm used to getting laid off now. So
but that's sad.
No, you don't ever have to feel that way, because they're learning. These people are in another country. So my company is a Swiss founded company. It's not a company that was founded in the US. So these are white guys that are in like Singapore. They live in other places, right? So they know, that there's a history. And actually, one person on the call was talking about how they've and they're married to a woman who is Middle Eastern. She's Indian, I think. And she, in those countries, have experiencing a lot of the similar things that we talk about. Like she said, she had to dress up when she goes to the store because they be following her around. So like his kids have experienced bullying because they have darker skin. So he touched a little bit of it, so that when I say things, he's like, oh, like this is that, like all the time. I'm like, imagine that being everybody all the time, But I told them, I was like, hesitant to talk, but it made me feel comfortable. And some of the things, like my CEO was like, we haven't put a statement out because I feel like we don't want to be like the people who are going to let this die off. So we're trying to come up with real stuff that we could do.
Actionable.
So that's what we're doing. So like how you talked about the resources, when coronavirus hit, they put the stuff on our intranet on how to parent resources, a plethora of things for parents. If you got your kids at home now, working from home, blah, blah, blah. Mental health, they had a whole page on that, right? Ways you could manage your mental health through all this and all that. They will be adding an anti-racism resource now.
Excellent.
For people to be able to, it'll be available, for you to go learn, read, understand what this is, what it is. Because I told them, we have to be calling. It has to be from you saying, this is how we're going to do this. We will not tolerate. It's zero tolerance, you know, in these things. Good thing is, I mean, overall, we have a great company culture. I have not, you know, I don't have any examples of that, you know, of bad behavior or any of that stuff from working there. But I think getting ahead of that and also making sure that we are getting diverse candidates. Because one thing, we don't do recruiting at my company. So everybody is referring people in their own network. They have, you know, they're, I guess the philosophy is like good people bring in good people. And I'm like, but if all your people have people in their network that look like them, you're not going to be intentional about having a diverse group. So you will have to do some things where you are going to, you know, for our sales people, we need to be going national sales network conferences or whatever, places where we are getting the candidates a diverse pool of candidates so that I'm not by myself on my team. I have someone else I can relate to culturally, right? I love my teammates and stuff, but we don't have the same kind of life, and it is difficult at times. So these are just things that we were able to talk about. So for me, that felt good for them to care about what I think about what they're going to do. Not putting the burden on me as well to be the person. I was like, I feel like it would be great to do some things where we bring people in special, you know, people who do this work to talk to us and teach, you know, and learn so that we could get, you know, we could be better. And I think all companies need to be having those kind of conversations, at least honestly, about, you know, what white privilege is and all of that. Because if we solve the Black problem, and I've said this last week, you got Latinx community, they deal with color problems. Indian community, they deal with color problems because that light is better comes from that white supremacist mentality. Dark being the worst, you know, is the y'all are dark because y'all have the low level job. It's just a whole bunch to it, right? So if we fix this Black problem, everybody's going to feel like they are going to benefit from it when it comes to
absolutely
prejudice against race. So
absolutely. I definitely agree. And so just kind of piggybacking on yours, company I work for, we've already had 3 discussions. I mean, it's been ongoing. We have a daily email that they send out. You know, most companies are sending daily emails out to their employees since we're shelter in place working from home, and they've addressed it pretty much all week, and not just talking about it, but actually putting together a task force. Like, hey, we're going to put together a task force to determine what we can do, right, within the realms of whatever services, products, and the people that we have and resources we have on site. What can we do to be the change?
right, I love it.
So it's pretty much be the change you can see. You can have influence, even if it's a little.
Everybody has
start somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, we
you
all
might not be a protester. You might be, hey, I can donate to this fund, or I can help run the social media. Whatever it is, we all have a place, and we just have to find the place.
And it is the time for it. Like, we cannot hold back any longer.
And since you spoke on how to be an anti-racist, right? That's actually going to be our book for this month.
I know. I'm excited to read it. I've been watching a lot of Ibram X. Kendi's videos on YouTube, and he is enlightening me so much about things that I've internalized. So, like, we're good, you know, and yes, our white community, they need to be even more so proactive on this and more so adamant about learning how to be anti-racist, because honestly, it's going to come from, a lot of this is going to come from them changing their communities and families and stuff like that. But I'm realizing as I read these posts, read his work and listen to him talk, that a lot of what we have internalized, because we're raised in this system, we're brought up in this same system, that we've done that. That's a lot of why we, as even in the Black community, we deal with this stuff, like, oh, light skin, dark skin, like all that stuff comes from that same teaching and system that has been inbred over years and years, and a lot of it under survival of like, okay, well, I'm gonna use it to my advantage. Whatever I have that I can do, is it my education or code switching or whatever it is, using it to my advantage so that I can survive, or whatever. But what I'm realizing right now, in the time that we're in right now, we have to shed that in order for people to see what we really are. And it's gonna take some courage, because if you've been faking the funk to keep your job, and obviously it depends on what kind of company you work for and all that stuff too. It's gonna be hard to walk in your true authenticity. We talked about like we can't be ourselves at work, typically, and that's just how it has been. I think right now we're gonna have to call a lot of this stuff out. If you are, in a place of influence or position of power as a Black person, you need to be able to, push and defend, some of these policies and things that are being put in place. And it may take you putting yourself on the line. I mean, I know I'm the only in some places, and I have to be vocal. I don't care if you say what you say. Like, yep, I want more Black people. That's going to be me all the time. Because if I'm not, who is? Right?
This
so
is true.
We talk about the gatekeepers in certain industries or certain, organizations or whatever, and it's time for the gatekeepers to start opening the gates and speaking up. So if you're in that position, you definitely need to be doing that. But I wanted to highlight one thing that he said that really hit me. And he said, talking about how people are quick to say, I'm not a racist, but they don't even, if you ask them what's a racist, they don't really know how to define it. So it's like, how you just know you're not one of them, but you don't really know what it is. So what he said racism was, he said racist policies that lead to racial inequities that are substantiated by racist ideals. And so people create these, there were policies, right, that were created that created the inequities, and then people created ideas behind it. So you might say ghetto, ill, but you don't realize that like redlining created this,
the term,
right? And so now you think all Black people are this way or that way because they're in this situation. Or he talked about, what do you call it? What did he call it? I forgot what he called. Oh, it was like separatist or
assimilist.
Assimilist, yeah. And basically like you have a view of something's either, if you feel like something's just innately wrong with Black people, like you're born dumb, you're Black, you're just born low level, you're dumb, you're this, whatever, and you feel like because I'm white, I'm better. Like that's racist, right? Like that's racism. That's being racist. The racism is the systems that create those inequities, that create the ideas. Being a racist is actually acting that out through those ideas, right? So, or being like, you're a good Black person because see, you were groomed properly. You have been, what do they call that? Like you're exceptional. You're LeBron James.
You're different.
Different, right? And that's because he did these things that made him civilized, like the rest of us, which that also, is another one of those viewpoints that we have to like dismantle. So it's a lot of work to be done. I think we even need to do the work as well in the Black community. If you're affluent Black, if you are, what do you call it, middle class or whatever, looking down on people in the hood and calling them lazy and all that kind of stuff, we got to break free from all of that. Like,
we need a family meeting too.
We need a family meeting. So a lot for everybody to unlearn during this time, I would say. So that book is I hope we all learn some stuff reading that book as we get started.
And I must say, like, I went to order the book along with some other books out there, sold out, right? So, I mean, it's good that we appreciate it.
I downloaded the Audible.
I should do the Audible.
Because I think you can get the Kindle version and the Audible like kind of go together or something. I don't know. But I got the Audible because I was just like, I didn't see it and I didn't want to wait. So
okay. And I think I have some Audible credits, but just to think that I'm glad it's sold out. So that must mean that someone is out there trying to educate themselves.
Oh, and speaking of Audible, hold on. And they're not sponsoring us, y'all, but we are looking for sponsors if y'all want to sponsor. They have a little thing on their website where you can go. It says, so they have these sections that they've added when you're going to look for books. It says Economic History of Racism, and it's a bunch of books that talk about the economic history of racism. Books like The Color of Law, The Warmth of Other Suns, The Blue Eye by Toni Morrison, yes. Slavery by Another Name. They even got Roots up in there, child. Okay, and then they had Raising an Anti-Racist. That's a section. Books on for conversation starters for the youngest members of your family. Wow. Little Leaders, Bold Women in Black History, Heart and Soul, The Day You Begin, Voice of Freedom by Fannie Lou Hamer. It's in inspirational bedtime stories, 50 amazing Black people that changed the world. They also have a Poetry of Black Healing section it says bold, beautiful Black voices that are beacons of light through this painful journey. You got your Maya Angelou, of course. A bunch of others. So I was like, okay, Audible, I see you out here paying attention to what's going on in the world. So I'm loving that.
I am too.
I'm loving that. So
and education matters. Educating yourself on, I mean, like you said, kind of going back to what you said earlier, we need to educate ourselves too on this history. I mean, we just were listening to one of our favorite pastors. He said the people who created this aren't even living anymore.
Right. So we could change this. Everybody who started this, they did. So we could just let's pick it up and change it and start over. One thing I wanted to play for y'all real quick that was super cute. So if y'all have kids and you want to talk to them about the stuff that's going on, CNN did a special Sesame Street town hall on Saturday morning. And I accidentally came across it. I got in there about, it was like 10 minutes after it started. I'm like, and I was texting my, friends that want to talk up to their kids about race. I'm like, oh, here you go. Right. It's a great place to start. I didn't even know what all they were going to do, but it turned out really cute. But I want to play this little clip real quick. And it just touched my little heart. It just warmed my heart. Because I feel like this is where it starts. It starts at home. It starts with you talking to your family about, about what's going on. We need to talk to our families. Hold on 1 second, and I'm about to play it for y'all.
Daddy, I don't understand. What's happening? Why are these people together?
Oh, well, they're gathering together to protest.
Protest? Emma doesn't understand. What's a protest?
Oh, a protest is when people come together to show they are upset and disagree about something. They want to make others aware of the problem. Through protesting, people are able to share their feelings and work together to make things better. They make signs like this.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm bringing this sign to the protest at the community center later.
Oh. They look upset. Are the protesters sad?
They are sad and upset, and they have every right to be, Elmo. People are upset because racism is a huge problem in our country.
Racism? What's that?
Oh, racism is when people treat other people unfairly because of the way they look or the color of their skin.
The color of their skin? Oh, Elmo doesn't understand, Daddy. Elmo has sons with different types of skin. Oh, and fur, too. Black, brown, pink,
Yeah,
purple.
I know, Elmo, but not all streets are like Sesame Street. I mean, on Sesame Street, we all love and respect one another. But
Yeah.
across the country, people of color, especially in the Black community, are being treated unfairly because of how they look, their culture, race, and who they are. What we are seeing is people saying enough is enough. They want to end racism.
No. Emma wants to end racism too. Emma wants everybody to be treated fairly.
I just thought that was so sweet at how they,
love it.
explained it in a child's voice, and it went on. I think it was about an hour. Van Jones and I forgot the other lady's name who were kind of hosting it. They had Big Bird on there, and he was in there talking. It was just really good. I thought it was a good way to talk to kids about stuff like this.
Absolutely, because you think about this, right? Everything is brought to the forefront. We don't have any distractions. We don't have basketball. We don't have football. We have nothing but the news to look at, right? And so if your kids are at home, you shelter them in place, they're like, why are you so upset? What's going on? Why is this happening? On both sides, white and Black, So you need to be able to explain it to them.
I had the boys outside and I asked them like, hey, how y'all feeling about what's been going on? Because I know that I've been watching the news and talking to people on the phone, and they're here. Like you just said, they've been seeing me talk about it. They saw me on the phone with the CEO, on the video calls and all this stuff. And so I asked them, we went outside and was drawing the other day out in the backyard. We've been doing these little how to draw for kids.
Yes.
And I was like, how are y'all feeling about everything? LJ's like, honestly, I'm not really. He's kind of tuned it out, He's like, I'm just thinking about my birthday. And Marvin was like, I mean, I'm thinking about it. I'm paying attention to what's happening and just hoping that it's going to be good. And I said, well, I think about it. Like I've been crying every day. And Marvin was like, I don't want that to be happening. And I'm like, Marvin usually, I was like,
Mr. Tough Guy.
You're going to make me cry again. Right. So I'm like, but I want to be honest with him about what I'm feeling and what I told him. I'm like, I'm hopeful. I feel like we're in a good place right now where we're getting the momentum that we need to make it change. But you guys are going to be the ones that are going to walk this out, in your life. So we got to make sure we continue to just have the conversation, know what's going on, but, be honest with our children because this is the world they are walking into. And to not is just to handicap them.
Absolutely. And so your children are different in a sense of age-wise, right? Kiara is a young adult college student. So number one, she's experienced it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Firsthand. Number two, she's now in college working. So she is very aware and woke to what's going on. She's even saying that is making her uncomfortable in a sense of how her coworkers at work are speaking on it, right? They have a different opposing view of it, whereas here she is the only Black girl there. They see their side, but they don't see her side.
And then it shouldn't be her burden to
exactly
have to fight those, and educate them on what's going on and know all the things that she should be saying. Because sometimes you just don't know what to say in response. And so her to have to equip herself to this, that's what we're trying to change. We're trying to change it where she doesn't have to feel like she has to defend her people, what's going on, the side of right and all that. That's not fair. Correct. I thought about that this morning because I was like,
yeah. And so she's been carrying that burden. I mean, she comes in and I can see the burden on her shoulders. I see it on her face. And I guess I'm enraged because I'm like, I had to go through that. Why is she having to go through that? She shouldn't have. Each generation should get better. Yes. Right. But she's still going through what I've had to go through. Yep. So she's fighting a battle at work, trying to deal with, and you're interfacing with the public. So God forbid you have a service industry job where you're dealing with people. Can you imagine?
I can't.
He's saying you could be serving. Right, exactly. You could be serving someone who is racist.
You could.
So for them, I'm glad in a sense that they don't see it. They don't need that burden. They're still young. I would rather that be the case. Do they need to be educated? Absolutely. But if they haven't yet experienced, good, great.
Okay, well, cool. You know, like we don't have to talk about it for a long time. They know. They're listening. They're like, I hear you on the phone. You know, I hear you talking about it. I'm listening to the CNN stuff. But they're not, they don't have the anxiety. You know, they don't have the fear and all that stuff, you know, at this.
Yep. And they haven't been directly impacted, which is a good thing that they haven't been directly impacted in terms of happening at school per se.
I want to read this. I think this will fit right into what we're talking about.
Do it.
It I know it touched you and it touched me to the core. When I don't know who tagged me. I need to see who tagged me on this, but this lady wrote the words that I've been wanting to say for a very long time, because I've experienced the exact same thing. But I'm going to read this to you. It's a lady named Nikki Morris Hillard, and it's an article that she wrote on LinkedIn. It's entitled, "My Baby Fears Police. She Doesn't Know Profiling Happens at Work Too." Black people know all too well the duality and dichotomy of being placed under the highest powered microscope available by people who can't and oftentimes don't want to see us. That was a highlight piece. But for a second, my instinct said to blame my red eyes, runny nose, and swollen face on allergies. But I was sure Amina, my brilliant rising second grader, would know better. "What's wrong, Mommy?" she asked me yesterday. I couldn't lie. Not to those big, beautiful, and ever inquisitive eyes. "I'm just feeling a bit sad that there are people in the world who don't like us and other people just because of our skin color," I explained. She thought for a moment before her face lit up. "I know," she said, wagging her index finger in the air. "You can plan a meeting, make everyone come, and they can talk and learn to be friends. You can do that, right, Mommy?" Her sweet, simple action plan nearly brought the tears back. Tears that I'd unexpectedly let flow minutes before while on a video call for work. Tears that still flow today for my baby and for so many mothers, babies such as Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Tamir Rice, Sandra Bland, and a host of others. Like many women, and particularly as a Black woman, I have worked to rein in my emotions my entire career. As a woman, it is about being perceived as professional. But as a Black woman, it is also about not being non-threatening. It became clear to me very early on in my career that my human emotions and even my tears are frequently lost in translation and perceived as menacing in the workplace. When I expressed my pain and confusion after my ideas were hijacked by a former boss and I was left out of the implementation, he feigned shock and innocence in the moment. 2 months later, during a mid-year review, he labeled me combative and cited my accusatory tone. In another situation, when I finally became frustrated and tearful after a former boss spent multiple one-on-ones discounting months of extremely hard work and downplaying my efforts when speaking to other leaders, I was met with a thinly veiled threat of termination. "We can have a different kind of conversation if you want," flew at me with a disproportionate and venomous heat that left me stunned. That person was unable to see or hear the hurt that I felt even after sharing that I felt unsupported and marginalized. And in yet another case, a former boss would ask my other team members where I was, if I'd come in that day, what time, etc. Not because I'd missed meetings, I hadn't. Not because I had an attendance issue, I didn't. When I asked her about it and explained how it was impacting me, my experience, and the trust I was building with the team, she stammered for a bit before she hit me with the classic deflection statement, "Nikki, I am your boss." My feelings didn't matter. My deliverables, collaboration skills, and desire to help us win as a team didn't matter. But the policing of my body did. How dare I question that? She quotes Maya Angelou saying, "There is a world of difference between truth and facts. Facts can obscure the truth." Black people know all too well the duality and dichotomy of being placed under the highest powered microscope available by people who can't and oftentimes don't want to see us. We learn that we are required to shrink, straighten, smooth over, code switch, tone down, cover up, and generally say and do what it takes if we want to know when and where the meeting is, let alone have a seat at the table. Another favorite tactic from the ex-boss who always asked others where I was, leaving me off the invitation list and pinging me to see where I was when the meeting started. It was a hashtag Amy Cooper level workplace gaslighting intended to create the optics that I was unreliable or late for meetings I was never invited to attend. My daughter doesn't know anyone who has been brutalized by police or arrested or incarcerated, but she has seen and heard enough of my conversations and news snippets, and in her mind, she pieced together the idea that she is afraid of the police. She doesn't know the policing of her brown, slight frame has already begun. A white woman who worked at a child care facility Amina attended accused my daughter of trying to hurt another child while they were holding hands and dancing in a large circle of children. This safety concern was only raised after I asked her why she yelled at Amina and disciplined her harshly enough to make her cry. She, unlike her mother, is not quick to tears. No report was filed, and the woman nor anyone else expressed any concerns before or after the alleged incident. Yet when called out, she painted my daughter, the only Black child in the group of children, who couldn't be aggressive if you paid her in candy, and who I've had to tell more times than I can count to stand up for herself, as a risk and a threat. Someone has already attempted to assign these loaded words to her. She is 6. She quotes Maya Angelou again, saying, "You may not control all the things that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them." While technology provides video evidence of racist behavior, such as what we've witnessed with Christian Cooper and far too many other mothers' babies, when will I and other Black people capture video of leaders making fun of kinky hair? When will we have video of them tossing out resumes because the names sound too ethnic? When will we have videos of succession planning meetings where leaders damn near have to turn themselves inside out to not include Black employees who are more than qualified? When will we have video of Black employees getting unfair performance ratings? How do we capture video of the conversations held on phone calls and in Zoom rooms where no people of color are invited, yet policies that impact them are made? I'm grateful that we have undeniable proof of what has been happening to people in my community for far too long. We will not stand for it anymore in the streets, and we can no longer tolerate it at work either. And while I can't call a meeting for everyone and make us all friends, I will do everything in my power to help create an environment where Amina does not have to shrink or fear that anyone will attempt to snuff out her life or her livelihood just to keep themselves comfortable.
Wow. I felt everything from that. I've been there. I've been that woman. I've been that mother. And my daughter has also gone through that same experience. I could have written the same letter as well. Yeah. And that disheartens me that we are still here.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, I allude to it a lot when I talk about getting laid off. But a lot of those layoffs were because of me voicing myself, voicing toxic work behavior that was happening to me. And that's how I was rewarded. Like, well, you know what? You'll be fine. We'll just, let you go. Okay, well, I will be fine. That's what will happen. But it hurts still. It still is scarring. And I just really hope we're in a place where we can correct that, since we're starting to have these conversations openly. And I hope more companies are able to listen to their employees to make those necessary changes to just get all this stuff just fixed, because it's just a sad situation. Just think about
it really is.
Think about the all the dancing we have to do in and out of these companies. So anyways, I think that will relate to a lot of women that are listening to this podcast, and maybe men too.
Yes. And I'm glad we are having the crucial conversations, right? Mm-hmm. Crucial and courageous conversations. And I hope this doesn't stop in terms of the conversations need to be ongoing until we fix it, right? So we can talk about it. But we need to talk about what steps, what actions and solutions will we put in place to basically eliminate social injustice.
Yeah.
CNN had another special, Black Men Living and Dying in America.
Yeah.
Where they covered
on already?
It did. It's on demand. So if you go out there and look at it,
Okay.
go out there and watch it. And it's sad. It's just sad to see all of these different men, and it's men and women. Although they're highlighting men, it is more men that media is telling us about. But women are being killed too. Yeah, it's just that the Black community, we can't breathe personally, professionally, in so many ways. We cannot breathe, and we're tired of being suffocated.
And that's really why we created this podcast, because, and I said it last week, we wanted a space, we wanted to really build this space of support where we could talk about this stuff openly, specifically. Of course, we're the bold Black girls, but this is really all of our issue, right?
Yes.
So that kind of leads to us using our acronym in our call to action for this week. So we all need to have a place where you can have these conversations. If your workplace is not safe, you need to find a community, whether it be, I got invited to like 3 Facebook groups this week. If it's your church, use that space to talk and let this stuff out, because it is sickening to our bodies. We are stressed, that is, it builds that stress, and that's not healthy. So you need to find I don't care if it's a Facebook group, your church group, or you got certain Instagram pages that you're following to keep up, to make sure you have communities of people that you're speaking to and able to be free, to talk about these things. So that was the first one, building your safe space of support. And then organizing, which is something that we need to do. We need to connect with these community groups. We need to talk about voting, and understanding how to vote, what to vote for. I'm going to be posting links. There's a link that we've created for our page called Resources. One of those resources regarding organizing is the Mike Muse. He has a system called the 4 quadrants, where he talks about the areas in which we need to be paying attention when we go out to vote. The judge, the mayor, the district attorney, and police commissioner. Those are positions that we really need to know who's going to be in place. And he also has a resource that shares like questions we need to be asking when we're looking at these people about their values, what they've done. Are they, what do they place on, what values they place on different things that are going to matter to us, because local voting is where it's going to start.
It's important.
To changing those systems, the systems that we're talking about that created that. Yes, we care about who's the president, but locally in your city, we need to know what are those systems that are creating an environment that allows that. What about your school system? These are things, instead of just saying go out there and vote, we want to learn how and what we should be voting for. So we put a resource on our website for that as well.
Absolutely.
What were the other two?
The other two are just learning, right? Learning your history and how to prevent the cycle, and breaking every chain and breaking those cycles. We're breaking them within our communities, but we also need them broken outside of our communities. Mm-hmm. So that's going to educate yourselves. But more importantly, like if you really do start at home, that small change will have a huge impact. I mean, we've shared this on the podcast before. Like, hey, you said if you're in the grocery store and your child says, oh, they look different, like have that crucial conversation with them. It's okay.
Yeah.
One of the things that one of the pastors that we listened to, he said, go have lunch with people who don't look like you. Even our pastor said that.
He did.
So it's a common theme. And I will say this, I feel like I'm very good about that. Like there is color. I know that there is color because I see it, I experience it. But I have friends who aren't Black, true friends. Like I will go in, if I hang out with you outside of work, it's because I want to, and I consider you a friend. I have white friends. Hey, Kim, you want to go golf? Hey, Kim, let's go get happy hour. It's okay. And I think we have to change that narrative, but we also have to be comfortable with doing that too.
Yeah.
And it really comes from a place of love. And I'm not looking at her like, oh, she's a white lady. What can she do for me? Right. No, I truly enjoy who you are as a person.
And it goes back to like unlearning things. We've all been taught stuff, right?
Yes.
So we all have to unlearn a lot of things. That anti-racist, those resources are also available on our website. Reading those books. That's why we're picking that book this month. I haven't read it before. I want to see where I can, continue to be better as a person. That's a part of my personal development, period. I'm interested in just being a better person. So anything that I can do, anything that I'm hoping that's what people are interested in learning. And then
absolutely. The last one is donating.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I may not be able to protest for several reasons, right? But I can use my resources to donate to organizations that are near and dear. So there's one called the Grassroots, right? Which is
project.
Yep, founded by Lee Merritt and Sean King. And so we've added a link on our website. Please go there, check it out. Donate. I mean, we're not at work. We're not going out for lunch. Pivot your lunch money,
right,
and donate to a cause.
If you have if that's the area that you've been blessed to have resources, look for these type of organizations. Until Freedom is another one. These are organizations that are not funded by the system that created this stuff, right? We need people who can speak freely, who can do the work that that we need to make these changes. So they connect with a lot of community groups to make sure that we're getting this stuff done. These people that go out and lead these protests and all these, talking to city leaders and all that, they don't get paid from a company. Like they're living off of these donations. So if you can do that, please do. It was something else I was about to tell you too. So put that on the website. I think we have like 50 Bold Black Girl t-shirts left. So if you would like one, go to our website and purchase them because they are about to be gone. And it was something else. One more thing. Hold on. Get warmed up for Juneteenth.
Yes.
I want to see, now that's when I'm going to really see, like, are we really committed? Because, every year there's those memes that go around talking about Black people at 4th of July and don't nobody celebrate Juneteenth and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, okay, let's see what we about to be out here doing. So go learn about that. Go educate yourself on what that is. Back in my day, in my hometown, they celebrate Juneteenth hard. Like it's a big old parade. It's a big old day-long event of like singers and performers and vendors and all that kind of stuff. So it's a whole thing. So when I came here, I'm like, ain't this the place that it started at? I don't be seeing a lot. So anyway, all right, y'all. Anything else, Kim?
No, still stay tuned. Our theme for the month is Stay Woke. And so we're bringing to you a series of different topics. I want to say today is about revelation. I believe that, and I said this on the podcast prior to anyone else ever saying it, I was like, I really believe COVID is going to be a revelation that's going to start a revolution that's going to create restoration. Amen. And so we're coming to you all.
Rainbow Push Coalition.
And that comes straight out of Chicago, Illinois. That's where Rainbow Coalition was founded. In the basement of that pastor.
Jeremiah, right?
No.
No. I'm about to say.
The pastor that said we wouldn't be going back to church until God tells
his name.
Pastor Sharp. Out of fellowship. Yeah. So yes. So looking forward to that.
Rate and review the episode, guys. We love you. We hope you share this with your friends if you enjoyed. But please rate and review on your podcast player of choice and subscribe to our newsletter. so that we can keep you posted with new things that we got going on. Obviously, this is our side gig. We do have full-time jobs, so we try to update as much as we can. But I do want to start. The resources that are there right now are very preliminary. They will grow as we continue to add more things and as we get time to update it, because we are a 2-woman show over here.
Yes.
All right, y'all. So that's it. We love you. Have a great rest of your week. Hopefully it is bold. Using the acronyms for the stuff we just used for the call to action. Hopefully you will find something that fits you and give it your all. See y'all.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.